Hi, hello, welcome to this live session, Teacher Mindset Matters. And I would like to ask you to say hello to me and maybe write in the chat where you are joining from and what you're expecting from this session. It would be very nice to know. And I would like to start with the topic of this session for today, which is silence your saboteurs and take back control as a teacher. I've already spoken about this topic a lot in the past few weeks and actually months. So I think most of you who are following me and who come to these live sessions, you're aware of the saboteurs and how they are impacting your performance, your well-being, and your relationship as a teacher. And today I would love to really have like a summary session. So even for those of you who were not here in the previous sessions, it would be a very nice session where we summarize everything and when we practice different things. So nice to have you here. I think Flor is here already. Nice to have you here, Flor. Then Joanne is here as well. And joining from Canada, it's 5 a.m. for you, Joanne. Good morning to you. And Kodam is joining as well. Nice to have you here. I love seeing you here. David is here as well. David, nice to have you here too. I think for you is as well around, I don't know what time is for you, David, but I assume you started your day at 5 a.m. So it's not that early morning for you anymore. Anne is here too. Nice to have you here, Anne. Welcome everyone to this session. So again, as I said, we are going to speak about saboteurs and how they are impacting your life in a negative way. I do have these sessions every other week to empower teachers to work on their mindset, because very often it's the mindset actually that holds them back. And it's not even the strategy. They follow the strategies, they have the tools they use in teaching, but it's the mindset, it's the way they think about themselves, the way they feel about themselves, the way they procrastinate, the way they make decisions. So that's usually what's holding teachers back. And I'm a teacher myself, so I can relate to everything I will be sharing with you today. And everything I will be sharing, I have tested on myself. So I'm experimenting a lot alongside this teaching. Oh, yes. Okay. It's 6 a.m. for David. Colette is joining too. Nice to have you here, Colette. Wow. Long time no see, Colette. So nice to have you here. How are you? And Koram is joining from Iran. Brilliant. Okay, good. So if we are ready, let me just start with slides. I have slides for you. I think it's easier for those of you who are visual to actually see what I'm presenting. So let me just share my screen and maybe tell me what the expectations are from this session for you. What are you expecting? Because very often, if we don't have any intentions, then our brain is not really focused and doesn't really extract what it would be nice to extract from the session. So that's why for our brain to be focused, it's good to have intention before everything we do. Now, even if it's just one thing you want to improve in your life right now, today, what is it? And then the question is, how can this session, mindset session, help you with that? So maybe you can just write it down. Nice to have you back, Colette. Yes. For Anne is 8 a.m. in Toronto. Good to know that. So what is it that you expect from this session? The name of the session is Silence Your Saboteurs and Take Back Control as a Teacher. Now, I guess the question would be, did you know that staying in negative emotions too long sabotages you? So that's the question I would like to start with. I think most of us, well, all of us are aware that staying in negative emotions for too long sabotages us, but maybe we are not aware how much it sabotages us and how we can shift from this negative emotion to the more positive emotion. And this is not to say that you shouldn't feel negative emotions or you shouldn't stay with them or you shouldn't sit with them, but it's like, how long do you need to sit with that negative emotion for you to understand the lesson of that emotion is bringing you? Because each emotion is like a messenger, and they bring you certain messages that you have to follow or use in your life, and then these emotions they don't need to be present anymore because they already delivered what they were supposed to deliver. So when we are staying in this negative emotion for too long, then it affects our performance, well-being, and relationships. So it's not all about just work, it's about work and private life as well. When we are sabotaging ourselves and staying in the negative emotion for too long, these are the areas that are sabotaged. So what is very important to touch on is like, what is a saboteur? I guess most of us have heard this word sabotage, self-sabotage. So how do you understand the saboteur? Those of you who were here in the previous sessions, you may already be even more aware of what I'm speaking about, but I would like to hear that. Okay, so I can already see what you're sharing, what you would like to get from this session, and how this saboteur session can actually help you with that. So, David would like to learn how to better manage his mindset and stay on track with his long-term goals. Good to know that, David. Joanne is saying more time to work on marketing. So, how to get more time to work on marketing, how to know how to prioritize. Anne is saying, I would like to stop being a perfectionist and get things done. That's a very good one, and we are going to speak about this one. Koran, I wonder what kind of saboteurs are stopping me. Yes, brilliant. We are going to cover that as well, so maybe you can identify it by yourself. But then at the end, I will share something with you interesting. Is like a saboteur assessment that you can do for yourself, and you can find out which are your top 2 saboteurs. And the assessment is free, so you don't have to pay for the assessment. Colette is saying, I want to get out of my own head and become more focused on committing to building something for myself. Okay, that sounds like a very empowered person, Colette, that you are, and that you want to become even more. Good to hear that. Good. So, what is a saboteur? It's a question for all of you. I will answer the question, but what is a saboteur? We already discussed how it's impacting our well-being, performance, and relationships when we stay in the negative emotion for too long. But what is it actually, the saboteur? What is it, the saboteur? Okay, I'll share that with you. So the saboteur is the negative inner voice that holds you back. So these are all the thought patterns that we have, the way we think about ourselves, about others, and about the world that are actually holding us back. And I'm going to share a few interesting things about saboteurs, but the shortest possible definition is a saboteur is the negative inner voice that holds you back. And what I want to mention here, very important thing, that actually there is an area or there is a field called positive intelligence, which was developed by Shirzad Chamine, and is actually the ability to train your mind so that positive, empowering thoughts are stronger than negative, self-sabotaging ones. And it measures, actually, this positive intelligence measures how well you use your brain, or like how well your brain serves you rather than working against you. So I think I've mentioned it already a few times that you are not your brain, or we are not our brains, but the quality of our life, the quality of our performance, the quality of our well-being, the quality of our relationships depends how well we use our brain. And the saboteur is actually this inner negative voice, which is part of our brain that is holding us back. So then it affects our performance, well-being, and relationship. And it's a very good thing to know that we can actually measure how well we use our brain, and positive intelligence deals with that. So this is something I'm studying right now, and I'm learning more and more about it. And I'm discovering so many interesting things about my saboteurs. And also, I've been speaking with more than 20 teachers already in a one-on-one session where we were helping them discover their saboteurs and seeing how these saboteurs are actually affecting their lives. And in most cases, it was like a really good revelation. Like, many teachers found out that, wow, I didn't know this about my saboteurs. I didn't even know they existed, or I had an idea, but I didn't know how bad it was. So that's something we are going to talk about right now. Um, and yes, so actually, Conan mentioned as well and added that the saboteurs are faulty mental patterns. Yes, exactly. That's another way you can put it. Um, Good. Now, let's just continue with our session. So, I would like to share essential facts about saboteurs with you before we give very specific situations that teachers go through and how we can spot those saboteurs. But these essential facts about them are that they are developed in childhood as coping mechanisms for survival. So, um, let's put it that way. When we are children, we are very good at seeing our strengths and knowing what our strengths are. So we are aware of our strengths, and saboteurs are these coping mechanisms where we actually overuse our strengths. So we overuse our strengths just to feel protected, just to feel safe, to feel loved and accepted by the people around us. So that's the best what we can do as children by using our strengths without realizing we are overusing our strengths. And when our strengths are overused, they become our weaknesses, they become our obstacles. So let's say you were raised up in a household where maybe you didn't get a lot of attention, or maybe when the family dynamics was very dramatic, and then maybe you develop a saboteur which has the tendency to please people around just to have peace or to feel loved. So there are different situations, and of course all of us have different background, different childhood, but in this kind of situations we develop those saboteurs. And again, the saboteurs are our overused strengths, which become our weaknesses, and they become our obstacles. And a very important thing to realize is that most people don't realize that saboteurs are running the show. So I often use this example, and I know maybe some of you have heard about it already, that imagine you break your leg and it really, really hurts. So that's the same thing. And as when, for example, adults around you hurt you in any way when you're a child. So what you try to do very quickly to protect yourself and to feel loved and accepted, you put a cast on it. Well, you have that saboteur, you use that saboteur to protect yourself. But the thing is, it's useful in the childhood and it's the best thing you can do. But as an adult, this cast, wearing this cast and having this cast on your leg doesn't serve you anymore. It becomes an obstacle for you, because imagine you have to walk, run, jump, and do all sorts of activities in this cast. It would be a huge obstacle. So that's the same thing. As adults, we don't realize we have these saboteurs, but we have them and we don't need to use them and have them. They don't need to be with us. So they can be weakened. And the opposite of it, which is the sage, the calmer us, the true essence of us, can be strengthened. But the thing is, we are not even aware. And we have about apparently 10,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And most of them are this automatic negative thoughts. So there is nothing wrong with using our automatic mind, or like our subconscious mind, because that's how we can actually follow the habits that we usually do, and we don't even have to think about them. Like, for example, when we brush our teeth, when we drive a car, we just get out of bed, put on the clothes. These are all the automatic habits which are good to 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 have to do, right? So it's good that we do them automatically, but very often we don't realize that we automatically follow these negative patterns, which are our saboteurs, without knowing, because we forgot we are still wearing that cast. Just let me know if this all makes sense to you, or if there is anything else you would like to add to this. Also, you can like this session so that more people can see it, if you find the session helpful. And thank you so much, Mansoor, for mentioning that you find the session helpful. So maybe like the live that you're watching right now, and then more people can see it. So I'm just going to continue with the next point about saboteurs, is that they create stress, self-doubt, and procrastination. So I've read a few of your intentions, that you mentioned what you would like to get from the session. So some of you mentioned, I would like to be less of a perfectionist. I would like to actually do things and procrastinate less. So this is exactly what I create. So it's not us, kind of our true essence, like us that are creating this stress, is the saboteurs that we have that are creating this stress and self-doubt and procrastination, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and all of this. This is all saboteurs. And the best thing, the essential fact about saboteur is that you can retrain your brain to quiet them. This is so important to realize, is that you are not meant to be stuck with these saboteurs for the rest of your life. But the first thing is you need to realize and become aware of what they are, what these saboteurs are, what are my most, or like my top 3 or 2 saboteurs that I have without even knowing. So that's the first thing. And then you can do something about it to quiet them, to weaken them. But again, 50% of any success is just awareness. And now, who is curious what these 10 saboteurs are? Or maybe you can already tell me. Who knows? Give me at least one example, one name of the saboteur. We have 10 of them, but I would like to ask you to mention at least one in the chat that you remember. The more you can mention, the better. I will see if there are any prizes as well for those of you who mentioned the most of those saboteurs. But what saboteurs are you aware of that there are? Not just your saboteurs, but in general. So David is saying restless. Very good, David. You're the first one who commented. And Taylor is saying stickler. David, high achiever. So David here, actually high achiever is a strength that hyperachiever is overusing. So and hear me still well? I think I lost you for a few seconds. So yes, hyper achiever, controller. Yeah. Okay, well done. Done. I like that. So let me just show you these 10 saboteurs, and you already mentioned at least half of them. So we've got the judge, stickler, controller, hyperachiever, hyper-rational, hyper-vigilant, pleaser, avoider, victim, and restless. Now, the main judge, let's say the top judge, is judge. Okay, so all of us have this saboteur called judge. And it can be judging yourself, others, or circumstances. And then the 9 other saboteurs, these are called accomplice saboteurs. So they usually accompany the judge saboteur. So it all starts with judge when we are starting to judge ourselves, others, or the circumstances. And then there is an accomplice saboteur that usually follows this judge. And all of us have different accomplice saboteurs. For example, my top saboteurs were hyperachiever, controller, and hyper-rational. I've been already working on hyperachiever for some time, so I would love to say it's very much weakened. But at the moment, I'm working on my controller saboteur, and I think I've worked a lot on my hyper-rational saboteur as well. So maybe if you can just tell me which one resonates with you the most. I know some of you already had a session with me, so we already identified your top 2 saboteurs. But those of you who haven't had this session, which of these saboteurs resonates with you? And I know probably right now you don't have much information about all of them, so it's hard to say. But I will just very quickly review them. So as I mentioned, judge is the one that judges yourself, others, and circumstances in a negative way, of course. This is not to say that you shouldn't have a healthy judgment. That's actually a strength. But when it's overused, it becomes a negative judgment, which is destructive feedback or criticism. Stickler is the saboteur, is this inner negative voice that always wants to make you feel that everything has to be perfect, either perfect or you don't do it at all. Controller is this inner negative voice that makes you think that it either has to be your way or no way, and that every single outcome has to be controlled, which is maybe so control in your life or even in other people's lives. Then the hyperachiever, this is when you associate your worth and identity with external outcomes, achievements, and results or successes. And this is kind of like seeking for external or searching or like seeking external validation. Then it's a hyper rational, which is being too rational, even in the situations where empathy is required, especially in relationships. So, although rationality is very good, but when there is a need for empathy, it's always better to start with being empathetic when we are discussing anything in relationships, and then we can use our rationale. Hypervigilant is this inner negative voice that makes you think that there is risk in everything you do, everywhere around you. So it's this kind of mental, physical exhaustion of like seeing risks and danger in everything around. Pleaser is the saboteur or inner voice that makes you think like, if I please everybody else, I will get some love back. But it's kind of like one-way love, and it's not unconditional love. But it's like, I'm going to do something for you because I want this love back, and it's usually pleasing others at the expense of your own um, needs. Avoider is this inner negative voice that makes you think that it's better to kind of procrastinate on things because somehow they will either disappear or somebody will deal with them, or they will decrease in intensity. But usually that's not true, and there are long-term consequences. Victim saboteur is this inner negative voice that makes you think that poor me, like the whole world treats me unfairly, and it's this inner negative voice that makes you feel and act in a very dramatic way and attract other people's emotions through being negative about yourself, about the world around you. Restless is this inner negative voice that makes you feel like I always have to do something, and there is always something better, and kind of like changing another thing without sometimes completing the thing you are currently doing, and kind of like not really feeling present with students, with your colleagues, with other people in your relationships. Okay, so let me know if this all makes sense. Um, Yes, and I can see Coram was saying avoider and victim is something that he resonates with, and Joanne is saying avoider and stickler. Okay, good to know that. Good. So these are the 10 saboteurs. I just wanted to review them and to show you like how they are impacting your life or like teachers' life in general in a negative way. Just a funny picture if you are curious what they look like. So these are all 10 saboteurs in one image. All of them in one place. Now, what I would like to do, and this is the main focus of this session, we already are aware of these 10 saboteurs, so maybe you can take a look at them again because we are going to have different real life scenarios that teachers experience and face in their daily life. And you're going to guess which of these saboteurs it is because you need to imagine yourself, this is your real case scenario that you have or you experience during your day, and which of these saboteurs can potentially be showing up in those scenarios. So again, take a look at these saboteurs because I'm going to have a test in a way for you. Okay. And if there are any questions or any comments, please let me know. Just ask any questions, or maybe you can comment and I can guide you. Good. I guess everybody's ready to learn, to continue. So let's just continue with these real life scenarios for teachers. So the very first one, never enough. Okay, I think I should have put there never good enough mindset. Sorry. So the scenario, the common scenario is a teacher spends hours perfecting lesson plans, grading every paper with extreme detail, and constantly seeking approval from students and colleagues. Even after receiving positive feedback, they feel they haven't done enough. So nothing is enough. Okay. Who here resonates with this? I can tell you I do. I remember when I had my third student as a niche teacher entrepreneur who was a psychologist, and this student said to me, Steffi, if you only delivered 30% of what you have taught me, I would already be happy. So basically, in other words, the student wanted to tell me that you are making things too perfect, and by this you are overwhelming me and you are wanting me, or you want me to do the same thing, to follow the same pattern, to be perfect in my delivery of my English language speech. So I definitely resonate with this one. And I'm sure maybe some of you do too. So let me know if you resonate with this scenario. And maybe the question is how to spot saboteurs. So in this scenario, so imagine this is happening to you. It's you, going through your day, and you are trying to make your lesson plans perfect, paying too much attention, to small details, and constantly seeking disapproval from students. So how can you spot saboteurs? Now, in each scenario, I will point out there can be at least 3 saboteurs present, depending how you look at it. So the statement is, if I don't go above and beyond, I won't be seen as a great teacher. So what do you think? Which of these saboteurs I described to you could be thinking in this way and showing up in this way in that scenario? What do you think? Which saboteur can be showing up in this way? Hyperachiever, Colette is saying, or stickler, Anne-Marie, okay? Ansi is saying. So actually, it's hyperachiever. Yes, if I don't go above and beyond, I won't be seen as a great teacher. This is this feeling of seeking external validation, and only feeling good enough if I'm achieving and other people see it. So this is the language of hyperachiever, or the thoughts of hyperachiever. Very good. Now the second one is the same situation, feeling never good enough. And in this case, it's I need my students and colleagues to appreciate my effort, or I feel unworthy. Okay, so I need my students and colleagues to appreciate my effort, so I have to do everything to make them happy. Otherwise, I feel unworthy. What do you think? Which saboteur is this? Which saboteur is this? Maybe some of them are not very clear, but okay, Ann Taylor is saying pleaser. And actually, that's correct. It's the pleaser, feeling that, I need to please my students and colleagues, or I need them to appreciate my effort, or otherwise I feel unworthy. Good. Now we have the third one. If everything isn't perfect, I've failed. So if everything isn't perfect, I've failed. Which saboteur is this? Which one is this? If everything isn't perfect, I failed. Yes. Yes, Anne, it's stickler. That's correct. It's stickler. That makes us think this way. Now, I want to show you what kind of impact this thinking, this negative thinking has on you, on your teaching, in this particular situation. So the impact is it leads to burnout, stress, and frustration when others don't meet the same high standards. So depending what saboteur you look at in this situation, but actually as a hyperachiever, it is like, yes, hyperachiever is someone who wants to achieve great results, and if they don't achieve them, they don't feel loved. At the same time, pleaser, so it's kind of like one way. So if I please you, I show affection to you, or I help you, but if I don't get it back, then I'm frustrated. But the stickler is like really having high standards for things, but these are kind of like unhealthy standards, because it's like wanting things to be perfect, which is almost impossible, and sometimes it complicates things too much. So that's the impact. Now I want to continue with the second scenario, if we are ready. And the second scenario is about the difficult student challenge. So imagine this: a student constantly disrupts the class, refuses to participate, or challenges the teacher's authority. The teacher either gets frustrated and tries to dominate the situation, or avoids confrontation altogether. So there could be two types of approaches, right? when the teacher dominates the situation or avoids confrontation. I don't know if you've experienced this. I'm sure you did. I have many times, especially when I worked with young people and with secondary school children or primary school children. It has happened a lot of times, this kind of situation and scenario. So we are going to go again through different mental patterns that these saboteurs can have, and you will have to guess which one is what. So how to spot the saboteurs? So the first one would be, I'll need to get this student under control, or I'm failing as a teacher. What do you think? Which kind of saboteur could be could could be kind of thinking in this way? I will need to get this student under control, or I'm failing as a teacher. Yes, an unmentioned controller, and that's correct, is the controller making you think this way. Now, the second scenario or the second one would be, I'll just ignore it and hope it gets better. I don't like conflict. I'll just ignore it and hope it gets better. I don't like conflict. Which one could be saying this? Avoider. Yes, and okay. So yes, you're right, is the avoider. So as we said, avoider, saboteur likes to procrastinate on things, ignore them, hoping that things will get better by themselves because they don't like conflicts. The third one would be the student is just lazy and doesn't care about learning. So, what do you think? Which saboteur could be saying this? The student is just lazy and doesn't care about learning. Which saboteur could be saying this when we are describing other people as lazy? Yes, Joanne. Yes, it's the judge. It's the judge. It's the judge judging us or others or life and circumstances. So again, there is nothing wrong about having the healthy judgment. Actually, that's very important because without the healthy judgment, we wouldn't take the right action. But it's when this judgment actually becomes destructive and it doesn't help us find a creative and innovative solution how to solve the situation. And in all this scenario, the impact these saboteurs have is that they create tension in the classroom, emotional exhaustion, and ineffective handling of student behavior. So, as we can see, all these saboteurs have a negative impact on the classroom management. And in general, it must be emotionally exhausted when the teacher feels like I'm the only one who should control everything and without kind of trying to empower the students with the ways how they can behave. Okay, now we can go with the next one, the last one, which is the third scenario, and that's about the overwhelming workload. So the typical scenario would be the teacher has back-to-back classes, meetings, administrative tasks, and personal responsibilities piling up. They feel like they are constantly racing against time and never truly present in the moment. I don't know if you can resonate with this. I can. I used to have very often 8 lessons a day in a private language school, and sometimes even had them at the expense of my lunchtime. So it was a lot of things, and even in between, sometimes I was dealing with some personal responsibilities, and I had some calls. So this is a very typical situation, I guess, a lot of classroom teachers have, and not just classroom teachers, but also independent teachers. Like when it's just too many hats to wear. As a teacher entrepreneur, you have to wear the marketer hat, the seller hat, the teacher hat, the admin hat, and a lot of other hats. So it's a lot of tasks to do. So let's just take a look how we can spot saboteurs in this scenario. So the first one is there is always more to do. I can slow down. Okay, I can slow down. So what do you think? Which saboteur could this be? There is always more to do. I can't slow down. So which saboteur it could be? Hypervigilant. Joan is saying, David is saying, this is a really hard one for me. I think this is the restless and the hyperachiever. Yes, this is a good point, David. So basically, in this situation, this is the restless. Yes, there is always more to do. I just can't slow down. So this is the feeling like I don't live my life fully if I don't if I don't do everything. Like I have to do all of the projects, all of the things, all of the courses, all of the activities, and I can't slow down. Like I can't afford to have some time off, or I just can't slow down to stop and enjoy the present moment, to enjoy people around me, to enjoy just myself or just my food or whatever you do. Yes, it's a difficult one. And I guess it's so important as well when we are teacher entrepreneurs to realize, like I realized it myself when I had to deal with all of this marketing, selling, teaching, and even I had a full-time job at that time. It was very hard for me, and I knew it wouldn't be like this forever. So I kind of like gave myself deadlines, like by when I would like to, let's say, shift from my full-time job to my business only, by what time I would like to have a virtual assistant, by what time I would like to delegate, let's say, my video editing to somebody else, or by what time I would like to do what. So this way it helps you kind of for you to focus on the most important things, to prioritize the most important things, and to delegate the rest. Because very often when we do everything, we either don't complete it properly, or sometimes we do somehow complete it properly, but it's at the expense of us feeling really exhausted, burnout, and kind of deprived, emotionally deprived. Um, yes. Okay, now let's just continue with the next one. The same scenario, the same situation. If I don't stay on top of everything, something will go wrong. Do you remember this saboteur? Trying to look for risks and danger everywhere around. So if I don't stay on top of everything, something will go wrong. Which saboteur is this? Which saboteur is this? If I don't stay on top of everything, something will go wrong. This constant feeling. Okay, Colette, hypervigilant. That's correct. Is the hypervigilant. Yes. Hypervigilant, this feeling that everything can go wrong. So very often with this hypervigilant, uh, this saboteur is not really aware, or people that have tendencies of this hypervigilant saboteur are not aware that it's important to be vigilant, but vigilant about things which are in your control and which are likely to happen. So it's good to be vigilant, but when it's too much of vigilance, it gets so exhausting, and then it just feels like there is problem everywhere. And this is the feeling that people around you have as this is the kind of perception or feeling that people around you have as well, that then they start seeing problems in everything, and it's kind of like then overwhelming for other people as well if we see problems and risk in everything. Now the third one would be, no one understands how hard this job is. I have no support. So imagine this, having too many lessons, back-to-back classes, or having too many things in your teaching business. And then if your saboteur makes you think this way, no one understands how hard this job is, I have no support. So which saboteur is this? Which saboteur is this? Okay, you're saying victim. And yes, is the victim one. When we feel like no one understands us and how hard everything is. Okay, but again, it's very important that all of these saboteurs have underlying strengths, but these strengths are overused by them. So, for example, the natural strength of somebody who has a victim saboteur is somebody with very high emotional intelligence, and empathy, and also is a person who is very introspective. So this the strength is that you can actually deal with the most difficult emotions that you go through. So that's a strength. But then it's overused when you make a lot of drama about everything and you attract other people's attentions just because of this drama and negative feelings that you have. And the impact, okay, so what is the impact of these saboteurs? They lead to anxiety, decreased job satisfaction, and emotional detachment. Okay, so again, they impact our teaching and our life in a negative way. It's just important to realize it. Good. So, what I want to do right now, before we are going to wrap up this session, we've got about 5 more minutes or so. We are going to speak about how you can actually shift from the saboteur to sage in 3-step shift, or like just 3 easy steps. Okay. So, again, the saboteur is this state of mind where you feel negativity, when you think negative and you feel negatively about something or someone. And we have 10 saboteurs, as I mentioned. And the sage is the calmer you, the wiser you, the more grounded you, your true essence, the true essence you were born with, and the essence you want to remember. So it's not even that much about, oh, I want to change myself. I want to change and be less of a perfectionist. The better question would be, I would like to remember who I truly am, what my strengths are, and then I would like to weaken or quieten the saboteur so that the strengths are more visible and stronger. The strengths are coming from sage. The negative thoughts and feelings and patterns are coming from the saboteur. And these are our weaknesses then. Okay, so there are 3 steps. Would you like to know what these 3 steps are? Who would like to know the 3 steps? They are so easy, you would be laughing. Like how easy it can be. And any guesses? What is the first step? What do you think the first step could be for us to shift from the saboteur to sage? What could be the first step? What could be the first step? Anybody? Again, they are very easy. And we actually kind of use the words already in these scenarios when we were talking about saboteurs, what the first step could be. Just do it. Joanne is saying, just do it. I love that. But what we just have to do? Okay, just do it. Yeah. I think that could be the third step in a way, but let me just guide you through these steps then. Okay. So there are 3 steps how we can shift from saboteur to sage. And the very first one is to catch your saboteur. So as you remember from those real life scenarios that teachers go through on an everyday basis, the first most important thing is just to catch that saboteur, to become aware that, oh, it's my saboteur thinking this way, is not me. So, for example, one of the examples where, oh, poor me, nobody understands how hard the life of a teacher is. So, the first very important thing is just to be able to separate yourself from this saboteur and to be able to catch it, like, oh, this is the saboteur saying, not really me, the saboteur, the negative pattern in my mind. So it's very important, number one, to catch your saboteur. Every time when you find yourself feeling negative during the day and it affects you, it makes you feel a certain way in a negative way, you just catch it. Oh, it's my judge. Oh, it's my pleaser. It's my avoider. It's my hyperachiever. If you are not sure what saboteur it is, we already know there are 10 of them, but maybe you won't know in that moment which saboteur it is. At least you will say, catch the saboteur, like, oh, I just caught the saboteur. You don't have to give that saboteur specific name. But that's very important, is this kind of separation and this awareness that this is not me. I am sage. I'm not a saboteur, but I do have tendencies to sabotage myself and to kind of have this saboteur, but I'm not a saboteur. I'm the sage. So when we catch the saboteur, that's the first step. Then the second one is to celebrate. I know this sounds like a very kind of like maybe childish way of doing things, like, oh, celebrate. What should I celebrate? Just the fact that I caught the saboteur? Yes, that's exactly what you should celebrate. Because when you celebrate these small wins, they appear to be small wins, but imagine you catch the saboteur 5 times a day, which means you're 5 steps closer to becoming a sage or more of a sage. By you catching the saboteurs, you are strengthening your sage because you are being present to what it is and you're separating yourself from your saboteur. So it's very important to celebrate it. And you can celebrate in different ways. You can be just celebrate in a loud way, like, wow, I caught the saboteur. Let's open the champagne. Or you can just do like a nice tap on your shoulder, like, yes, I did it. Or just in your mind, just say like, yes, I did catch my saboteur right now. I'm in a sage mode. So it's important to celebrate, okay? Catch your saboteur number one, celebrate number two. And the third step is even easier than you may think, and it's just repeat the process, easy as it is. It sounds very easy, but believe me, if you really do that on an everyday basis, your life will improve so much that you will be surprised. So, step number one, catch your saboteur. Step number two, celebrate. And step number three, repeat the process. Any questions? Any comments? And now, Joanne, just do it. Just do it. I think this is the right time for us to mention this one. Just do it. Yes. Just do it. Okay. I would like to know if there are any questions about this easy process. And then I would like to share the action steps for you, which will be easy. Number one is to catch your saboteur and celebrate every time. Even if you catch your saboteur just once a day, you've already had a good day and you became one step closer to your sage power. Number two, action task. You can take the Positive Intelligence Saboteur Assessment. It's a free online tool. I can share that with you. And then if you want to, you can contact me for feedback on your saboteur assessment results on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on different platforms I am on. Okay, so let me just stop sharing because I would like to share this free assessment tool with you for those of you who are interested. I know some of you already took this, already did this test, and even got some feedback from me. So maybe if you have more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer the questions. Okay, but I just share this with you. And also, before you ask me any other questions, I would like to share something with you. It's actually our Bowie monthly events that we have. So this is one of those events that I have every other week, as you can see. So it's Teacher Mindset Matters, bi-weekly on Wednesdays. And then bi-weekly I have my podcast as well released. So there will be the next podcast episode released next week. And then 2 weeks after that. So I alternate it. So 1 week is the live session, and then another week is the podcast episode. So the latest podcast episode was about how to make more space for wealth as a teacher. So how to be wealthier as a teacher, but really more importantly, how to make more space, because we don't even realize that we want to be wealthier, but there is no space for wealth in our life. So I can share this with you as well, my podcast, which is here. So if you just click on this, and then it takes you to my podcast episodes, and the latest episode is this one. It just takes 5 minutes, but it's a really good way how you can make more space for wealth. So let me just share this with you. You can listen to the podcast, and I can share with you as well the monthly events. Also very important to mention is that we have a membership webinar, meaning like how can you get students in your membership. That's a free event, and that's on the 23rd of April, and you can register for free. So I'm just going to share this link with you in case you are interested. Okay, so that should be all. That should be all from me. Just let me know if you have any questions, and I will go through these comments. Thank you so much, David, for being here. I know you are a very busy and successful teacher entrepreneur, so I appreciate that you took some time to actually be present here. Good. And also, Joanne is saying, thanks so much. Terrific, Steffi. Thank you so much, Joanne, for being here. Good. Thank you, everyone. So, again, I do these live sessions for teachers, mindset sessions for teachers every other week. And the reason why I do them is because I'm a teacher and I became a teacher entrepreneur. And the reason why I got some good results as a teacher entrepreneur wasn't just the strategy, there was maybe just 10% or 20% of it, but mostly it was mindset. And I've been through many mindset challenges myself. So again, everything I share with you, I've been through myself, sometimes in a very painful way. So yes, I follow what I teach. I follow what I train people with. Um, and that's why I'm doing it. And again, all of these sessions about mindset and all the sessions we do at Bowie are for teachers to feel more prosperous, prestigious, and respected, because that's what you all deserve. That's what we all deserve. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. Have a beautiful day and stay in this beautiful sage energy as much as you can. Make sure to catch your saboteurs. Bye bye. Have a good day, everyone.